Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where, the more you learn, the less you actually understand what's really going on? Today we're taking a deep dive into a world where loyalty is a currency, information is a weapon, and the lines between hero and villain are just constantly shifting. We've got a stack of material from a novel that really plunges us into the high-stakes world of black ops and intelligence.
Yeah.
It reveals a conspiracy so intricate, it challenges everything you thought you knew about who's truly pulling the strings.
What's fascinating here, I think, is how the narrative constantly redefines the mission and the enemy. It's like a masterclass in how information itself becomes a weapon. We'll trace the journey of this operative caught in a web of really elaborate deceptions, from a perilous underwater assignment to a hijacked oil rig, and ultimately right into the heart of a secret Russian lab. And this raises an important question for you, the listener. When your own side is playing the long game, how do you possibly know whose information to trust? And crucially, what the true objective really is.
Right. So our journey begins with a character named Stratton. He's an operative with the Special Boat Service, the SBS. He gets called in from a quiet evening, apparently tired of the Middle East, hoping for something, new. He's briefed by Mike and the CO, his commanding officer, about a highly unusual mission. And it's hinted at with this chilling phrase, "Think Buster Crabbe." That immediately sets a certain tone, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That Buster Crabbe reference is, well, it's crucial for understanding the stakes right from the get-go. It immediately signals a dangerous top-secret underwater task, and it comes with this very dark historical precedent. MI6 operative investigating a Russian warship during the Cold War disappears. Vanishes. The unspoken implication is crystal clear. Crabbe never returned. So this isn't just about a mission. It's about the very real possibility of an operative becoming, well, expendable. And it foreshadows the risks Stratton's about to face right from the start.
So what's the target then? What demands this kind of heavy historical context?
Yeah.
It's an elusive Russian Navy vessel called the Inessa, currently docked in Sevastopol, which is the main base for Russia's Black Sea Fleet. It's described as battleship gray, completely void of any armaments, but with a stealth design just bristling with comms tech. Intelligence suggests it might be a mothership for submersibles, maybe a surveillance ship, or even involved in delivering chemical and biological weapons. The ambiguity itself feels like a threat.
And here's where it gets really interesting for our deeper dive. The Inessa has this mysterious disruptor device.
A disruptor?
Yeah, but the catch is it can only operate in deep water. See, shallow water causes this bounce effect that's detrimental to its equipment, which means it has to be switched off in Sevastopol Harbor because of all the sonar surveillance there. Now, this disruptor device, with its, fascinating deep water-only limitation, it's more than just some cool gadget in the story. It actually forces this very first mission into a perilous, almost low-tech approach. It immediately sets a tone that intelligence isn't always about sleek technology. Often it's about, well, brutal, on-the-ground reality and the risks operatives are forced to take. And the challenge is immense. Spetsnaz divers shadow the ship. They inspect the shallows right after it passes the northern mole, where the seabed is less than a meter deep.
Wow.
So robot cameras, they're out. Too much turbulence, plus the Spetsnaz.
Okay, so no robots. What's the solution? It comes from MI16, which is described as this unconventional, almost rogue outfit within the intelligence community, a brilliant mongrel. It's run by a guy named Jervis, and it operates with a kind of independence that sets it apart from, say, MI6 proper. And that detail becomes really crucial later on. Specifically, a scientist named Philip Binning has designed this unique harness system and a complex-looking recording device. It looks sort of like adapted night vision goggles. This setup lets an operative be literally bolted to the seabed, leaving their arms free to record the hull as it passes over. Pretty ingenious, I guess, but also terrifying.
Ingenious and terrifying, exactly. The key, though, is the recorder's self-destruct mechanism. Once the memory card is removed, bam, it releases a chemical to destroy all the hardware. Binning really stresses, we don't want the Russians getting their hands on this sophisticated tech.
Right.
But Stratton, ever the pragmatist, he's more concerned with the harness. I mean, his life depends on that. He even notes the ironic lack of deniability of those bolts. They're staying in the rock. And he pointedly mutters, "I'm glad you think so," when Binning says, maybe a bit too confidently, it's all pretty straightforward. It just highlights that huge gap between the theory in the lab and the brutal reality for the operative on the ground.
So the mission goes ahead. You can almost feel the tension building. Stratton finds the exact spot, tries to bolt the frame down, but one bolt, it's loose. He makes a snap decision, though, proceeds anyway. The Anessa passes directly overhead. Imagine that. The pressure must be immense. The propellers are described as a massive vacuum cleaner hungrily sucking in anything ahead of them. This isn't just a technical challenge anymore. It's a fight against pure raw force.
And he somehow endures it. Stratton gets hit with tremendous pressure, vibrations. Then, a critical moment, his fin gets sent.
Oh, man.
And then the frame's center bolt and a top corner bolt give way, flips him right over. But despite the chaos, he manages to pull the memory card and arm the self-destruct just as the Spetsnaz divers show up.
Just in time.
He even grabs a Spetsnaz diver's fin and makes his escape back to the cache point. And his wry observation afterwards that procedures are often formulated by those with little experience in operational implementation. Well, it speaks volumes, doesn't it, about the disconnect between the planners and the boots on the ground.
Yeah.
It immediately establishes Stratton as someone who trusts his gut instincts way more than the official protocol.
So Stratton survives, but just barely. And you start thinking, the real danger isn't just out there in the deep, is it? What happens when those lines of loyalty start to blur, maybe within your own ranks? When a seemingly separate event pulls you into a conspiracy that actually started much closer to home. Because just as he's recovering back in Poole, this new crisis erupts. The hijacking of the Morpheus oil platform in the North Sea. The leader is a former SAS operative, a guy named Deacon. He's got this motley crew of international thugs with him. And their primary goal appears to be a straightforward ransom from Arcom Oil. Or, so it seems at first.
Right. This is where the layers of deception really begin to unfold for you, the listener. It gets complicated fast. We learn that Stratton's old friend, Jordan McKay, an ex-SBS dive supervisor, invalided out of the service, is actually one of the hostages on the Morpheus.
Oh, wow. Personal connection.
Big time. And Jordan is embittered, feels badly treated by the Ministry of Defense, and he's seemingly working with the hijackers, believing he's owed something. He's confident he can protect the SBS lads if they come, claiming his handlers didn't actually want anyone hurt. So this isn't just a friend in trouble. It's a really profound look at how resentment and a sense of injustice can be twisted, exploited, turning former allies into, well, compromised assets.
Meanwhile, back in London, Stratton gets summoned to this secret MI16 compound. It's an underground facility, apparently a WWII bunker. Very cloak and dagger. He meets Philip Binning again, and the head of MI16, Jason Mansfield, described as this brilliant nuclear engineer and triathlete, plus his team of equally impressive scientists, including a woman named Rowena de Boventure. This is where that brilliant mongrel of MI16 really starts to show its teeth, or at least its very unconventional structure.
And here's a critical moment, a real twist that fundamentally shifts our understanding of what's actually at stake here. The standard SBS team, the guys who should be going to assault the Morpheus, they're unexpectedly locked in a security vault back at MI16 HQ, apparently due to a tripped security protocol. Extremely convenient, because it opens the door for Jason Mansfield and his MI16 scientists to volunteer for the mission. They claim their unique expertise in building the G43 surveillance system makes them more qualified to install it on the rig. Stratton is, understandably, deeply skeptical. He basically labels them not soldiers. And this is a crucial early warning sign for him, highlighting his unease with these non-combatants being thrust into a high-stakes military op.
But then things escalate. A YouTube video surfaces. It shows the hijackers threatening to execute hostages. And this is the turning point for Stratton. He realizes Jordan, his friend, is in real danger. His initial plan is, well, it's pretty chilling. He decides to use the MI16 team just to get close to the platform, then basically abandon them and rescue Jordan alone. He even views this potential act as being a traitor, really wrestling with the ethics of sacrificing one group to save another.
That's a fascinating internal conflict he's having. But Jervis, the head of MI6 operations, intervenes right at the last moment. He gives the MI16 team official clearance to go with Stratton. He effectively makes them bona fide operatives.
So Stratton's stuck with them.
Exactly. It seals Stratton's fate. He now must take them with him. It shifts his internal struggle from being a potential traitor to being this very reluctant team leader. And this intervention ensures Stratton is fully implicated, no matter his personal moral compass, which is a powerful theme in the novel. How far does duty truly extend when you're being manipulated?
Right. So the journey to the Morpheus itself is harrowing. It really pushes the boundaries of survival. They fly in a Chinook helicopter through a severe North Sea storm. Then they have to transfer to a mini submarine in these chaotic seas. Smithy, one of the scientists, he's nearly lost during the transfer. Stratton has to physically shove him into the sub just to save him. It's just a stark reminder of the brutal realities these scientists, who are totally out of their element, are suddenly facing.
And once they're actually on the rig, Stratton moves with just brutal efficiency. It's quite stark. He kills the hijacker known as Pirate by just shoving him off the platform, then dispatches the guards Viking and the Bulgarian with his silenced submachine gun. Clinical. He enters the galley where 164 hostages are being held and swiftly takes down Jock and Queen, the remaining guards, using these instinctive shooting techniques.
Wow.
Stratton's brutal efficiency here. It's chilling, isn't it? It completely strips away any romantic notions you might have about spy work. It shows how quickly operatives have to make these incredibly morally ambiguous decisions just to survive. It highlights the raw, visceral nature of these supposedly clean operations on the individual carrying them out.
Okay, so Stratton gets a control, frees Jordan and some other former servicemen, arms them. And it's here that Jordan reveals the true prize. It fundamentally changes the nature of this supposed ransom mission. He reveals that the tile Binning brought with him. It's the vital component of the world's fastest decryption device, capable of decrypting a 130-bit key in months, not millennia. Suddenly, this isn't about money at all. It's about unparalleled intelligence capability, game changer.
And this changes everything. Deacon, the hijacker leader, he finally realizes the true nature of the mission, too. He wasn't just there for ransom. He reveals his final orders. Detonate explosives placed all around the platform. To cover their escape, yes, but also to make it look like Jordan died in the explosion, protecting his identity in whatever grand scheme this is.
Yeah.
And Binning, the scientist who brought the tile, surprisingly, he seems genuinely shocked by this detonation order. He tries to warn Jason Mansfield. This moment is critical because it's the first real crack we see in Binning's composure. It hints that maybe even he is just a pawn in a much larger game than he realized.
A really tense standoff follows. Binning, still seeming loyal to the core MI16 team, actually takes Rowena hostage, apparently to protect her. Jason Mansfield, despite all his technical brilliance, is caught completely off guard, wrestling with one of Deacon's men for a rifle. Stratton and Deacon end up in this desperate hand-to-hand struggle amidst total chaos. Stratton manages to trap Deacon in a diving habitat just as the platform starts to explode. The personal stakes here are just immense. Everyone's fighting for their lives.
And the rig just disintegrates around them, explosions setting the sea itself on fire. Stratton, Jason, Binning, and Rowena make this incredibly dramatic escape in a lifeboat, narrowly avoiding being crushed by the collapsing structure. They're eventually rescued by military helicopters. But as you're probably starting to realize, this story is far, far from over. The deeper layers of deception are really only just beginning to surface.
Yeah, you can feel it. So following the Morpheus disaster, Stratton finds himself in this bizarre kind of isolation, questioned relentlessly, but given zero information. The media is hailing some mysterious superhero on the rig, but nobody knows his identity. This isolation really highlights the disconnect, doesn't it, between the operative's reality and the public narrative being spun. Then, suddenly the call comes. Muck summons him for a new mission, and the full scope of the conspiracy truly begins to unravel.
And the revelation here is, well, it's a true gut punch. The grand architect of the whole plan, as revealed by Sumner's, Stratton's MI6 handler, it's not who you'd expect at all, the Morpheus hijack. It was an elaborate ruse, orchestrated by a powerful international consortium of wealthy Arab and Russian individuals, including a businessman named Dmitry Robolesk and his brother Vlad, who's connected to the Russian Ministry of Trade.
Wow.
Their goal: to steal that decryption device, the tile developed by MI16. This just reveals the truly global scale of this deception. It's huge.
And here's where the personal betrayal cuts incredibly deep. We learn that Binning and Rowena, who Stratton had assumed escaped together, maybe as fellow victims, were actually part of this initial betrayal all along. The tile was stolen from MI16 itself. And the hijack was just a contrived event, a piece of theater, designed to procure it somehow. Intelligence now points to a converted chemical and biological weapons mine in Plasetsky, Russia now under Robolesk's control as the device's likely destination. How does Stratton even process this level of deception from people he fought alongside, people he arguably saved?
Well, it creates this immediate, palpable tension. Because Stratton's new mission is go to Russia with Jason Mansfield, retrieve the tile, and eliminate Binning.
With Jason, the guy who...
Exactly. Jason, now revealed as complicit in the theft, the one who brought the incomplete tile to the Morpheus in the first place, is ironically assigned to keep an eye on Stratton. The relationship between the soldier and the scientist becomes even more fraught, more dangerous. It forces Stratton to question absolutely everyone and everything around him, its loyalty completely turned on its head.
So the journey to Russia is predictably fraught with peril. Their Russian contact, Vasily, is brutally killed by Spetsnaz in a helicopter ambush almost immediately. Stratton, against impossible odds, manages to seize a mounted machine gun on their chopper and takes out the entire Russian helicopter crew pursuing them. It's just pure, desperate survival instinct kicking in.
The helicopter crashes, but Stratton and Jason miraculously survive by plunging into this water-filled shaft that leads down into the Plisetsky mine complex. And here, deep underground, a perfect metaphor, really, for the buried truths they're about to uncover, the final confrontation begins. Binning and Jason are confirmed to be working together against London's interests, lured by power and these immense business opportunities offered by the Russians. And Jason chillingly tells Stratton his plan. He intends to kill Stratton, return with Rowena as if he rescued her, thereby enhancing his own credibility back within MI6. It's the ultimate betrayal. Cold, calculated, ruthless.
But Rowena, who we might have initially dismissed as just a pawn or maybe a captive damsel, she proves to be remarkably sharp and resourceful. She manages to escape her confinement and reveals the secret layout of this dilapidated Russian lab. And the key thing, it's a poorly sealed chemical and biological weapons facility. This changes the game entirely. It offers a potential escape route, but one that's morally ambiguous, to say the least. An ingenious but potentially devastating solution.
Her desperate, audacious plan is basically this. Trigger a bioleak, cause a full lockdown of the facility. Now, while all the other exits would seal instantly, the executive lift has a built-in safety delay, 5 minutes for the lift itself, 1 minute for the surface door.
The window.
A tiny window, allowing them a narrow chance to escape while the facility seals everyone else inside. It's a truly chilling decision, isn't it? Where survival hinges on an act that could have utterly devastating consequences for everyone else trapped down there.
So they rig a gas bottle with a timed fuse. But just as they're about to initiate the leak, Jason and the Russian major appear. The tables turn yet again. Jason, predictably, grabs Rowena, takes her hostage once more. The tension is just palpable. Every single decision now is life or death, with betrayal just lurking around every single corner.
Stratton's quick thinking is key here. He just charges, steamrolling Jason to free Rowena, and triggers the gas release in the process. Chaos erupts. This deadly green gas starts rapidly incapacitating the Russian soldiers with horrifying effect, described as melting flesh. Extremely grim. It becomes this desperate race against time to get to the executive lift, and Jason, in his own scramble for survival, callously pushes Binning aside, revealing his true, utterly self-serving nature. No honor among thieves, clearly.
In a final, brutal confrontation, Stratton and Rowena battle Jason inside the lift and then again at the last security door leading to the surface. Stratton makes the ultimate tactical decision. He trips Jason, then seizes him by the throat right in the closing gap of the heavy steel door, leaving him trapped inside as the gas advances. Stratton and Rowena just barely escape to the surface, get picked up by a truck, and head towards Moscow. A horrifically narrow escape, but the fight for the actual truth, that's still ahead. Right. Once they're relatively safe, Stratton takes a very direct approach. No more intermediaries. He calls Mike, gets Jervis's location, and goes straight to him back in London, confronts him directly. And here, finally, the true puppet master reveals his hand, pulling back the curtain on the entire elaborate, deadly dance they've all been part of.
And Jervis confesses. The entire series of events, from the supposedly stolen tile to the Morpheus hijack, the pursuit into the Russian mine, it was all a grand, incredibly elaborate intelligence operation. It was all designed, he says, to test MI16, specifically Jason Mansfield and his team, to assess their potential as operational assets. It's a stunning revelation, right? It completely recontextualizes every single event, every risk, every death we've just discussed.
He even explains that the decryption tile that Binning stole, it was incomplete. Deliberately, it was a real thing. Just enough to lure Binning and Jason into believing they were gaining power, getting this incredible tech. But actually, they were just serving Jervis's larger purpose, which was
getting Binning to inadvertently reveal the full components of the real device and testing MI16's operational capabilities under extreme pressure. Jervis even implies that Jackson, another character, was an operative within MI16 all along, part of his plan from the inside.
So Jervis's master plan essentially justifies everything as mine, the betrayals, the manipulation, the near-gaffes. But doesn't that raise a really troubling question about the morality of using people like this, even for strategic goals?
That's a fascinating point, and the novel leaves it somewhat ambiguous. While Jervis clearly believes the ends justify the means, the narrative subtly suggests the human cost, particularly for someone like Rowena, or even Stratton himself, is immense. They've been put through hell. This completely shifts the definition of traitor, doesn't it? Stratton, who feared he was the traitor for wanting to prioritize his friend Jordan, is revealed to have been manipulated, yes, but ultimately loyal to a larger ideal, even if he didn't know it. Jason and Binning, the ones who actively sought personal power and wealth through betrayal. They are the true traitors to their country, their colleagues. And Jervis, who's been this calm, insightful voice guiding things from the shadows, he becomes the ultimate manipulator, playing all sides, sacrificing pawns, all to achieve a strategic goal for London. It really leaves you, the listener, to grapple with whether such manipulation, even if it's for national security, is truly justifiable in the end. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, tough questions. The deep dive ends with Stratton leaving Jervis's office. Jervis casually wonders about Rowena's future, sort of implying her disloyalty for having gone along with the Morpheus operation initially, even if she was manipulated too. And she, Rowena, also seems to realize she needs to find her own path now, outside the confines of these clandestine organizations that have used and endangered her. It's a powerful statement, perhaps, about finding your own agency in a world that's just filled with endless manipulation and hidden agendas.
So what does this all mean for you, thinking about this? This novel paints a picture of a world where information is constantly being reshaped, twisted, where loyalty is this incredibly flexible concept, often just exchanged for perceived advantage or survival. It really challenges you to think. In our own world, overflowing with information, how many layers of deception are you willing to peel back to try and find the actual truth? And when it feels like everyone might just be a pawn in someone else's game, what ultimately defines your mission, your allegiance? What would you be willing to sacrifice and for what purpose, especially when the rules seem like they're constantly being rewritten and the true game is almost always hidden just beneath the surface?